Hi everyone, I'm Jackie and we are enjoying life's journey on the path to financial freedom. Welcome back to another monthly budget report card video. I'm going to be sharing with you how we did for the month of March. So let's jump on the Excel sheet. March was a fun month. We had 5 Fridays, so that means my husband got paid 5 times. I was able to bring over our quarterly bonus for my self-employment, and overall we did pretty good. We didn't save as much as we would have liked, but we still, we got some stuff done that needed to get done, and let's see how we did. So the way I go through these, you guys, white means we are right on budget, green was we were better than budget, red we are worse than budget, and blue is one of those, it could go either or depending on how you want to look at it. Something you may have noticed, some changes that I have also here, is I have the total percent now. The reason I decided to go ahead and keep track of what percentages of our income were being spent on one type of expense is mostly comes down to our food, the cost that we're spending on food. We have been extremely frugal in the past when it comes to our groceries, not eating out, doing any of that. And now that we're finally doing well and we're in a good spot financially, I asked my husband one time, why do you work? And he said, so I can eat. He grew up in the Philippines, and that's the way it was. You didn't get to eat until you were done with your work. So I felt, we have really been depriving ourselves in that aspect of our budget. So by looking at our patterns, we are increasing not only our grocery budget, but we're increasing our eating out budget. And as long as it's within, between 10 to 15% of our income, according to Dave Ramsey, that's a reasonable amount of your income to spend on food. So I did want to start tracking that. Other aspects that people might want to look into is, how much of your housing, what percent is that calculated to? For me personally, I follow T. Harv Eger's percent, so our necessities as a whole, I don't want to be over 55%. So I'm going to go over these with you as we go down here as well, something new that I started. And on this side, these are some of the goal percents that we are setting for the month, so we'll go over those as well. Okay, so the first one here, my husband's base pay before taxes, we estimated at $3,700. That's what it was. We were right on budget. If you look at our income as a whole, his base income covers 45% of our income. His overtime is green. He did quite a bit better than we originally budgeted. We budgeted $2,553. You can see here these 3 months he made about 500, and then these 3 weeks he made about 555, and these ones were 777. So these ones included him working 10 hours a day, basically Monday through Saturday, and then these paychecks they added on 8 hours of Sunday. So that's how you can see quite a bit of jump here. So he ended up earning $3,219 worth of overtime. They are working their butts off. So in May, we have our cruise coming up in May, which is a well-deserved vacation for Ricky for sure. So myself, I did better than anticipated as well. I originally thought I would be bringing over $612.59. Again, this is half of what I make for self-employment. Please stay tuned. I will be sharing with you my self-employment budget so you can see what are all the sources of income that I have, how do I cover taxes, what type of expenses, what type of write-offs am I using, and things like that. So that might benefit you guys if you're self-employed. But I ended up bringing over $882.04, which is great. Same thing, we did a quarterly bonus. So from my self-employment account, I pay our personal account a quarterly bonus. I originally was anticipating $107, and we were able to do $120, so that was better than budget. Now the rest of these are blue. Basically cash back. We didn't budget an exact amount. We weren't sure, so that's blue. We did end up getting $39.47. This is cash back from our Discover It card. We started using our Discover It card for gas and eating out primarily, and then if we have any bigger purchases, which I'm going to talk about down in the Necessities account, which we had to use the card for. The interest, this is the interest on all of our savings accounts, so we did earn $10.40 worth of interest, so we're gradually seeing this number go up, which is really cool. So again, these are blue because we knew we would have them, we didn't know how much, so it's just blue. within the budget. And then savings, I ended up bringing over $220 out of my sinking fund. So this savings right here, Jackie's savings account, 15% of my self-employment income has been going into this savings account. Originally, we were going to be putting money in to open up a Fundrise account, which is basically investing in real estate. So we decided, because right now one of our biggest financial goals is to be able to have our house paid off in, 8 years or less from the time that we started the mortgage. And so I decided, instead of that 15% going to a different real estate, to start with, let's just start putting it towards the house. So I did end up bringing the $220 I had in the savings account, and I put it down here. You might see I actually ended up putting it down here in the extra principal payment for the mortgage. So this is blue because it wasn't really earned income. So we get down to our paying ourselves first and our taxes. So my husband, for the month of March, we did 7% of his pre-tax dollars to his 401k. So this was better. We originally thought we were only going to be putting $437 in there, and we ended up putting $484 in there, which is good. Overall, if you look at all of our income, though, it's basically 6% of all of our income. So that's, because you're including part of mine. Mine, 15% of my income is what went in there, so 150. We originally thought it was only going to be 107, so that was better. From our overall budget, though, this is 2% of our budget. Okay, and then federal taxes here. These are blue, and the reason I made these blue, these are higher than originally budgeted because my husband made more. So it's kind of one of those things where, yes, technically it was worse than budget, but he made more, so that accounts for it. So that's why I'm making it blue now, because it was good that he made more, but then, they are going to tax you more. So for federal, we thought it was going to be $149, and it ended up being $213.53. That's about 3% of our overall budget. 105 is what we thought Arizona would be, being 115. We thought Medicare would be $90, and it ended up being $100. And then Social Security we thought would be $387, and it ended up being $428. And then, so we can kind of see here, about 10% of our income is for taxes. So this one here is our emergency fund. We want to do 10% minimum, bare minimum of that. For the month of March, we were actually shooting for 34%, which would have been $2,337, but we did have some other things that we ended up, one was more of a necessity and one was just a splurge, and I'll talk about those at the bottom. But we still were able to save $1,289.67. So it's red because it was worse than what we wanted to do, but it was still more than our 10%. So we still saved 16%. So we look here, with my husband and me combined, we basically are investing, that's about 8%, and then we saved 16%. So we're doing pretty good in that relationship. My husband, we budgeted $100 for him. He ended up spending $124.74, so that's red, a little worse than we originally budgeted. And we come down to giving. We did $150, and $150 is what we spent. Family life insurance was right on budget. It was $27.95, and that's what it was, $27.95. Long-term disability, we thought $22.50, ended up being $24.90. This is another one of those. If my husband makes more, then we have to spend more. And again, it's just it was blue because just one of those things. Our mortgage payment is $1,128.98. That was right on budget. Our extra principal payment, this is where we did better. We originally were going to pay $180 extra. We actually ended up paying an extra $400 towards our mortgage. So we're going to be trying to crank this thing out faster if we can. So I'm super excited about that. Home maintenance, we thought we were going to put $50 into the savings account. We put $50.75. So this is these are green because these are helping our overall net worth. So it's not money that was spent and it's gone, but it was either invested or it's saving. Groceries, we budgeted $420. We ended up spending $661.72. Again, this is something that we're deciding to increase just so it's more enjoyable for us. And we've lived on beans and rice and beans for so long, getting out of debt and everything, that we're finally like, hey, you know what? We're tired of just scraping by with that. So our grocery budget was 8% of our overall income, our overall budget, which is under that 10%. But let's scroll down real quick and show the eating out. So eating out, we ended up doing 3%. So total, our food budget was 11% of our income. So again, Dave Ramsey says anything between 10 and 15% is reasonable. So we feel comfortable with that. We're, allowing that now. Another reason I like using percentages is because, again, if you make a little bit more, you can enjoy a little bit more, or you can save a little bit more based on your set percentages. And then if you make a little less, then you're not totally hurting yourself in all those areas because you're just going to use a little less based on the percentages that you're allowing. So personal care, we budgeted $60. We ended up spending $248.13. So this was higher than budget. This consisted of a few things. I did have a few doctor's appointments. I had to pay a few co-pays, and I did have to pay for some prescriptions. Stay tuned for my goals report video. I will be talking all about what that whole thing was about. Same thing, we did get some clothes. We went to Goodwill. They have dollar tag days on Thursday, so we did go and get some new clothes for the girls, and I got a few new shirts and things like that. So we did spend a little bit on personal care there. Household, we originally budgeted $200. We only spent $139.63, so this was better than budget. My husband's cell phone is $35, so that was right on budget. The electricity, we budgeted $70. It ended up being $76.92, so that was red. Water, sewer, trash, we budgeted $72. $71.25, so that was better than budget. Car gas, we budgeted $120. We ended up spending $156.10. Again, my husband is using the car a lot more than normal because he's still working on the motorcycle. They've been doing so much overtime that it's really hard for him to have the time to work on the bike, so it's kind of been a slow process. But once it's all done, hopefully we won't be spending as much. So that was red. The car insurance was the $125.63, right on budget. Now here is one of the big expenses that we ended up having to do. If you followed my budget plan for the month or the first paycheck, I mentioned that we were going to put $50 into the car maintenance fund. We were going to have the brake checked and just see, where it was at. I thought maybe we'd have like another month or two, and I knew for sure we needed the front brakes done. But once we went, it ended up being that the front brakes had to be done, but the rotors had to be replaced, and the actual mechanical pieces or whatever that hold the brake system had to be replaced. They were in really bad shape. And then I also had the back shocks done as well. So we ended up spending $853.92. The car rides so much smoother by getting those shocks done. The fronts, the shocks or whatever they call those in the front, I think they call them something different, those have to be replaced as well. And there are some arms that are cracking that will need to be replaced. They said probably within the next year. So we're looking at another maybe another $1,000 or $1,400 or so to fix all of that. That's part of owning a vehicle, you guys. We're at about 135,000 miles. A lot of people tend to just get rid of their vehicles at that stage because that's when we start to see a lot of these maintenance things that are just maintenance things, or things that are going to come up. They're going to have to be replaced around that time, and people don't want to pay for it, so they end up trading in their car and doing that. Our car is completely paid in full, so I rather keep up on all these maintenance things because I want to keep this car for at least 8 years. I want to keep this car going until the house is paid off. So I'm gonna, if I gotta fork over $1,000 here, $1,000 here, or there to keep it going, that's fine by me because I don't have a $400 a month payment, which we used to have. So that's fine. That's right there was basically 2 months worth of payments, and the car's running great. All right, motorcycle gas, we budgeted $75. It was $75, so right on budget. The motorcycle insurance, $81.91. That's what we put into a savings account, so it will sit there and earn a little bit of interest until the next yearly payment will be due. The motorcycle maintenance, we didn't budget anything. My husband ended up spending $65.57. As he starts working on the motorcycle, because he's doing things that he's never done on the bike before, he's needing to invest in some new tools and things like that. So some things are kind of coming up as he's working on things. The girls' commission jobs, my oldest could earn 40. She only earned 32. She decided not to do her chores this last weekend. And then my youngest, she could do 20, and she earned her 20. So I'm just kind of leaving those white. That's basically the way it was. And then last category is our fun. So again, eating out, we budgeted 150. We ended up spending the 254, so it was above budget. But like I said, once we average out our total food cost for the month, I'm totally fine with 11%. Moving forward, we're going to try to keep it around 10%, so we'll see how that goes. Now, for the $50 for the girls, usually we're doing like a movie night. We are kind of caught up on all the kid-friendly movies at the theater, so we did go to what's called the Aloha Festival. It's kind of a tradition that Ricky and I have been going there since we started dating, and it's every year in March. So we're keeping that tradition going there. So we did go to the festival. So we spent about $69 at the festival, and then we did end up splurging and purchasing a PS4 for the house. So we spent $445 on the PS4 in a few games. So overall, we ended up spending $514 on some fun, which is over budget, but my husband's working hard, and so we're kind of splurging on some things. As long as we're still hitting our savings goals and our investing goals, then, you know, we're good with it. Date night, we budgeted $120. We actually only ended up spending $82.34, so that was better than budget. The YMCA is $60. That was right on budget. And then Netflix, I budgeted $9.73. You know, they had mentioned that it was going to go up a dollar, so I just bumped it up $1 exactly, but it ended up being $9.83. So I was off, you know, by 10 cents, so that was a little higher. But overall, you know, not bad. Love to hear from you guys. How did you do in March? Did you do overall better than you originally budgeted? Did you manage to stay on budget, or did you do worse than budget? Leave me a comment below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.